That's right. I mean, go big or go home, right? That's the love louder.
That's right.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to PFY Live, our first Wednesday in the Easter season. Happy Easter, Michael.
Happy Easter. It is Easter season. It's gonna be Easter season for a while.
I know. I'm so excited.
I'll tell you.
Love our church, like giving us 50 days to celebrate Easter.
Yeah, I really appreciate that about our church. Is that well, we were just talking about with the family the other day. We were talking about the importance of why why this is a feast day and why we need feast days. And our church does that so great, is to keeping our faith in front of our face. And there's a reason why we stuff our faces today.
Yes, right. I mean, okay, so we have the kind of little custom at our house. We have ice cream if it's a feast day. So, yeah, and it has to be on the calendar. You know what I mean? It's not like we just make up a feast day for the day.
Well, I think we do on a secular level all the time. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a little, and he's like, Mom, is today a feast day? Can we have ice cream?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
You use it like a ninja. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then we're like, okay, so we got to pray to Saint, Don Bosco today. It's his feast day. Thank you for being a saint so we can have ice cream.
Now, once he becomes aware of the fact that there's a saint day every day, you're in trouble.
I know, but I love ice cream, so it's good. It's good. So let's talk a little bit about Easter celebrations for a second before we dive into our topic for today.
Okay.
So, do you like a particular color of jelly bean?
Yeah, I like licorice jelly beans.
The black ones.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I do too. Like every year, my husband buys me a bag of black jelly beans, though he thinks it's like the craziest thing. Like, why do you? And I said, listen, do you see any? Yeah. Do you see any other jelly bean bags in single color except black? Like when you think about it.
Yeah. That's because most people know there's only one person in your family that likes them, and they've basically given in and going, look, just give them a bag and keep out of everybody else's, jelly bean ensemble.
Oh, I know. My gosh. Anyway, so yes, we always have a laugh about that. And then it was so nice to be in church, to be celebrating Easter in, you know what I mean? Like because of last year, Easter everyone was at home. We were watching it on our TVs or doing drive up, masses. And so it was just such a beauty.
A year ago, we weren't in church.
Yeah. Right. So I don't know. I just felt like it was so beautiful and refreshing, and just to be in church, to receive our Lord in the Blessed Sacrament, and the decorations, the lilies and the flowers, and the sprinkling of the holy water. Just all of those symbols that we have right in our church that mean so much to us. And I don't know. I just felt so blessed to be here today. Going to into church on Easter morning. So
you packed?
Pardon me?
Was the church packed?
Oh, yeah. And we had extra masses. We were still social distancing, obviously, up here. I don't know what you're doing in Texas, but.
Yeah, a lot of people go that we've thrown out the book and we do whatever. No, it's still very regulated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the church. We've been very, very clear.
Yeah. And so just so excited. Hallelujah. Easter time is just, so beautiful. So I'm glad you had a great Easter. You have family with you, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we actually ended up having Easter at our house, which was a last minute thing. So it was kind of fun. I barbecued a brisket.
Oh.
Texas, supposed to do that. So we didn't do ham, we did a brisket. And so nothing celebrates the risen Lord like a brisket. So I don't know what that means, but I am a wannabe Texas barbecuer.
Oh.
About 10 years ago, and I've been in Texas half my life. So there was a certain time period where my wife finally, for Christmas, gave me a book, the Weber Bible, barbecue Bible, and it was a life changer. Actually, it was a game changer, which saved my life. But that was her way of saying that I have the gift of turning any piece of meat into shoe leather in a very short period of time.
Oh.
I can really do that. So, but I started to learn. And now the ultimate Super Bowl, which is appropriate for Easter, is a Super Bowl of our faith, but is the brisket.
Oh my gosh.
Had a brisket that just came out the best I've ever done.
That's awesome. Are you a charcoal then guy or a gas grill?
No, I'm a pellet.
Oh,
For the
pellet. Okay.
smoker, for the smoker, I have a pellet grill,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
great because it takes away. And I know that might be cheating, but whatever, you guys. But it takes the heat thing is taken care of. Now, what the heck is going on with this piece of meat? So
Right, right, right. Well, we generally have ham, but my husband sous vide, is that how you call it? What you call it? Turkey breast that he had shot, he had killed, and it was so tender and so flavorful. Like, yeah, it was great. It was very tasty. So we had have ham on Easter Mondays when we had ham. So
yeah, Easter +3, I think. Yeah.
right, right. We could definitely have a cooking channel or cooking discussion here. But all right. So do you have favorite fun stuff back in your coffee, right?
I did. Well, you know what? I try to pull back on the funness, but because it's Easter season, you have to keep it going. So I've got my positively outrageous service. That's not what POS stands for. I should think it, but positively outrageous service. We got to POS it whenever you can. So I'm getting my happy mood on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we did. I'm a big fan of Jimmy's. No Jimmy's, but we do have a little creamer. Mm.
Yep. So good.
I don't know if it's so good. Is it? This is kind of the celebrate. It only comes out in Christmas time, but it's the peppermint creamer.
Yes.
Yes, right. So you make a mocha. You put hot chocolate in your coffee, and then you use that as the creamer. Good night.
I know you want to drink more than one cup of coffee.
I am still doing that. Is that still good?
It's totally fine. It's totally fine. You know what? Yes. So we too. I actually did beans this morning, ground up beans. I don't always. I use just Folgers, but this morning it was the caribou beans, and we got them ground up, and coffee's tasting good this morning. We are raring to go. On my second cup.
Ready to go.
All right. So our topic today is Michael, what are you talking on today?
Well, yesterday last time we got together, last we talked, we were talking about effective meetings and the pros and cons of meetings and part of our lives, but we got to do it anyway. But one of the biggest things that we want to spend some time on is, and we talked about having a template for a meeting, because there's nothing worse than being in a meeting that gets off course or that you dread doing because I don't know how to do a meeting. I've got to get these folks together and be inspiring and give them vision. And we want to get things done. If you've ever been in a meeting where about 15 minutes into it, you're looking around going, why are we doing this? I'm going to kill somebody. Do I have to be here? Do I have to? We do. Or if you've been in a meeting where you've walked away, where you have not really been clear as to, that's me? I'm supposed to do that? Or you've been surprised when they said, hey, by the way, let's do tomorrow. And you're like, what? I do the budget. Yeah. Or you have so many things to cover that process is so important. And then, so there's so many things to think about on what is an effective meeting. And then you're dealing with the people stuff. Have you ever started off a meeting and you bring up a topic and as soon as we bring this topic up, there's going to be all kinds of bulldozers and boulders that fall into place and people get emotional. So there's an approach that I've used as a consultant, because that's what I do for organizations. It's coming. And the goal is to be as effective as possible. And I use this template when I'm coaching people, but it's the most effective meeting template ever created. And I'd like to say I did it, but I've just mutated it over the years. But I want to share that with you today. So no big deal.
Awesome. And I think that to have a tool, right? To have a tool you can use, a template you can use, really helps you to deliver a meeting then on purpose.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And everybody wants it. Everybody wants you to be effective. People are begging you, please. I could be doing a million other things right now. Why are we doing this? And the more effective you are in meetings, you'll build a reputation actually quite fast.
Yeah.
So I love it when you go into a meeting and you see the person who's running it and you go, oh, okay, good. That's not your pheromones. That's not a scent you're giving off. That means you've done things that have built a reputation that this is going to be, at least if I have to be here, I'm going to be effective. So or it's worth my time. So I want to pass on a few tips for that today.
All right. Well, let's just dig right in. What are you going to teach us? What does this template look like?
Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about there are two sides of every interaction, and we actually talked about them here. You've got the practical side, where we want to get something done. Are we effective in starting off properly? Do we have a way of going through our agenda? Do we start it off strong? Is there a process to get things done, to get people involved? Are we going to end with clarity? Are we going to end on a high note? There are practical things to get done. If you've walked away from a meeting where you just cranked it out, holy cow, we got a lot done today. That's because you've met the practical needs of an interaction. But there's also the people side too. And we spend a lot of time, and when you and I talk, we talk a lot about the people side of an interaction. But those are the two needs. There are two needs in every interaction. There's personal and practical.
Okay.
And so I have a set of tool sets to meet both of those. And I want to touch on the people side a little bit today, but I really want to go over what I call the coaching guidelines. Okay. And you call it effective meeting guidelines, call it whatever you want. But if you and I are getting together to accomplish something, this template really helps.
All right.
That's my setup.
That's what we want. We want something that really helps. We want our listeners to walk away with really something tangible and practical that they can use to deliver meetings better and to have better results at the end of the meeting. And wouldn't that be great if, like you said, you had the reputation of, we love coming to meetings that Michael Hoffman runs because we get stuff done and we have a good time.
Yeah, it's not. You're not killing people. You've got people that are, you're really being respectful, I think. And so if I can have purposefulness in that, you'll get things. You'll be more productive, whether you're trying to get your team on, whether you're trying to bring your parish staff on board, maybe you're trying to set a vision. There's lots of purposes for meetings.
Right.
And find this template is very flexible. Matter of fact, make sure that we spend a little bit of time on just a few minutes on how you use this template to really address almost any need. And I'll give you a few examples of that.
Great. Do you want to start with the template, or do you want to touch on that little bit of the people side first? Where do you want to kind of dive in today?
Let me see. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
So, I've just pushed the let me see. Okay, fine. Okay. How is this? How are we?
We're great. We're great.
Can you see? What are you seeing?
I just see you.
A really big tip. This might not happen today.
You know what? Sometimes technology doesn't work, and then we'll see.
Paula is going to post it in the chat. So, so if anything, y'all can download it. And I really am telling you, this is going to be great. Matter of fact, she's going to post probably the entire little manual that I do for a coaching class. Okay, so I want to share the screen. So I'm sharing the screen. Application window, no. Entire screen, no. Application window, yeah. Pages, there you go. All right, share that. Bam. It says Chrome has lost permission to capture. Okay, but I want you to have permission.
I know, right?
I do.
All right.
So you stall for a second. So
okay. So maybe I should get some more jelly beans or the chocolate eggs, or make sure we always have the Easter egg hunt. And I'm sure there's some eggs that got left behind, but nonetheless, always have a good time. The little kids have a good time. And listeners, we're teaching you a whole new skill here too. I mean, stuff happens, right? Like technology doesn't work. How many times has that happened to you? Your technology doesn't work. And you're like, okay, so now I have to give this presentation without the PowerPoint, or I have to, go through this template without you being able to see it. And that requires a different set of skills to be able to give a presentation and a training that way. So speaking about meetings, yesterday, somebody was, one of my staff members runs some meetings for us, and she has an amazing job. and she stays completely on task. And when I join the meeting, sometimes I come to the meeting, sometimes I zoom in on the meeting, and then she says she's always afraid we're going to go over time. But I bring some fun factor. I think, I bring the relationship, or I bring extra information or knowledge to the meeting that she might not have. So but it was a good kind of lesson to me. Like, I got to be cognizant of that's kind of a concern of hers when she invites me to come to her meeting. Oh, so I'm like, okay, I will just be quiet over here and you talk away.
Yeah, well, okay, so I'll give you a little update. Right now, it says that the Chrome needs permission for me to share my screen. And when I go to give it permission, it says, will not be able to give permission to the contents of your screen until it is quit. So I don't know if it wants to quit Chrome. And so if I jump off, can I come back on? Or if it wants to quit the program that I want to share. That's interesting. So,
Um,
and I don't want to take that chance of getting kicked off.
I don't I don't know what if let me see if I can share it. I'm gonna see if Paula can send it to me and I can share it, and she can put it in the comments for sure. So while we're waiting for that, do you want to just start at the top? Why don't we just?
Yeah, I'll touch it. Okay, so personal and practical. Okay, let's talk about the personal stuff first. The personal side is basically is to really pay attention to the set of skill sets in dealing with people. Because when you open up a conversation, it may be accepted, it may not be accepted. You may have barriers you have to get through before you ever move forward. So paying attention to the people needs of an interaction, there are some skill sets, and I kind of label them three things: identifying self-esteem. In other words, how people feel about themselves. How do I get past defensiveness? That's what self-esteem is. What can I do? What can I say to get people to stay involved? So involvement is a skill set, and basically listening and empathy. So those three things I put on the people side to say, pay attention to how you're using these skill sets like a ninja, because throughout this practical side, you're going to be using them all over the place. So, for instance, if I'm going to open up a conversation with purpose and importance, and I bring something up, and I can tell this has been a touchy thing, but we got to talk about it. So, the whole purpose of our meeting is to brainstorm on how we can do this. Because let's say we just finished an event that didn't go well because we weren't prepped ready, we didn't have the site ready, and something happened where I thought I was communicative to say this is what we need from y'all, but it didn't happen. So I got to get everybody together and have a type of meeting where we're going to do some post, talking about how things went, and good practices, bad practices. But I got to pull off a Band-Aid and bring it up because we totally failed in this area. That's an example of how you can almost anticipate. You can anticipate some emotional things. So what would you do? Well, you do a lot of listening. You do some involvement by saying, what happened? Let's just start off by saying, let's get it on the table. What happened? From your point of view, what were you expecting? Where did we drop the ball? So I'm going to use involvement questions. As they're talking, I'm going to be using my listening skills. I'm going to be showing empathy by saying, like, okay, that was frustrating. I can see that. I might not agree with you at all. Matter of fact, I think you're totally out of proportion, but I still want to give you a validation. So right. I say things like, okay, that it's been very frustrating. I totally get it. And the reason why I'm doing these things, if they start to check out, I may use self-esteem, like, hang on a second. I think we can move this forward. And I really need your input because you're closer to the situation than I am. That's a self-esteem statement. I'm doing things to let you know I am for you. I'm listening. I'm saying positive things about the situation if I can't say them about you. I'm using involvement questions. So there's that people skill sets that I've got listed in the coaching things.
And I think I just want to add to that, Michael. I do think it's important sometimes. I know, like, I made some assumptions as the leader of why it didn't go well, but by starting with, tell me what happened on your side, or tell me, what did you do to prep for it, or whatever, I actually identify something different as the problem, something maybe I didn't see, or that by listening to them and asking them to kind of report back or share from their perspective, I find that sometimes I've learned, what I assumed might have happened, but in addition to that, these other things happened that they were sharing with me.
That's one of the reasons why I got excited about this template, because it keeps you from doing that if you follow it and do it right. Because we do it, that's a very human thing to do, is assume.
Yeah.
And mainly it's from a positive point of view. I'm trying to help. So my brain is constantly trying to make sense of my world. And the thing is, if it doesn't have all the information, it's going to fill it in.
Oh, right.
They're not positive, or it's not accurate. If anything, it's not accurate. So our assumptions can be tremendously wall building. And so you have to really go out of your way. And that's why it's a skill set, especially in ministry, to not assume. Don't assume where they're coming from. Don't assume their intent. And that's really actually one of the biggest ones, is we assume intent. And you meant to ... or this was your thinking, when in reality, you might not even be close. And or I assumed that from my point of view, I have all the issues. And when you ask for their input, you may realize, I didn't even realize there was a piece. I didn't know. Holy cow! I didn't know. Either I didn't know I was doing that, or I didn't know you didn't know. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Right.
So the people side is tremendously important. The people skills. So I've got a couple of ideas and skill on this particular handout that you'll get. But in the meeting, let's talk about the meeting in a short time here. Our meeting is consisting of 5 steps, and it's very simple. I'm going to start a conversation. I'm going to go out of my way to start the interaction with purpose and importance. Each one of these steps has a purpose, and it's not related to time. It's related to a goal. And once you have that goal, it tells you to move on. So we're going to start the conversation. We're going to get all the issues and the pieces of the puzzle out on the open. So if we're trying to accomplish something, and that's what this template is for, we're accomplish something. We're going to not jump into solution. We're going to get all the pieces of the puzzle on the table. But once we have that, then we're going to move into solution mode. And we're going to come up with, okay, what do we do about this? Or what do we keep doing? Or what are we going to be doing different? But we come up with a plan of action. And then once we've developed we've kind of really solved all the world's problems in that particular piece, then we're going to make sure that there's clarity. So there's no fog. We're going to eliminate objections before we move on to anything else. And then if that's the only thing on our agenda, then we end strong. So we start a conversation, we assess all the wants and needs, then we lead the group through our development, our plan, whatever we have to do with those issues and concerns, those assessing needs. And then once we've led them through a plan, we're going to eliminate any objections, make sure we're all on the same page, and then we're gonna solidify the meeting, and secure it up, make sure it ends on a high note. By the way, that spells out sales. I use it a lot, and it's the same sales template. It's a coaching template. It's a customer service template. It's the same conversation. Get it started. Find out what you're dealing with before you open your mouth towards solutions. Once you know both sides of the story, you come up with a solution. Let's make sure we've solved everything before we move on. Before we end this thing, let's make sure we're all on the same page. There's no fog, and then end strong and end on a high note.
Yeah.
So start a conversation, assess the wants and needs, lead them through the process, eliminate objections, secure the meeting.
I mean, that is such a great formula. And I love that it's not, 10, 12 steps, and it's very specific, and you can guide people through that. What if you're in the process and someone brings up something unrelated to that topic of the meeting? How do you handle that?
Well, you've got your people stuff, which there may be some listening, there may be some involvement, there may be some self-esteem things that you want to address. There's a reason why they're connecting it with the topic. Otherwise, they're the type of personality that is just I appreciate what you want to talk about. I want to talk about this. Yeah. So sometimes that's the case, and so you have to handle it with your people skills. But I'll throw in a couple of bonus things, because I call this the 1-2 punch. That it's served me quite well to address, but get back on course. When somebody brings up something that's off topic, I'm gonna use my self-esteem. I'm gonna use my empathy. I'm gonna use my involvement to ask questions. Well, how is that connected? What's the what are you trying? What's the goal here? And I want to try to get everything that I can out of them. But then I'm going to take control again. So here's the 1-2 punch. The first step is to do a check for understanding question. So you take control by saying, so let me see if I got this right. And then you kind of revamp what they said. You're bringing up this, and this. Did I hear that right? And by doing that, I now have control of the floor. So I use that like a ninja. I get control of the floor again. I do it very nicely. So what you're saying? Hang on a second. So I'm hearing you saying this. Is that right? Closed-ended question. Is that right? Yeah, that's exactly right. And then the second half of that combo is a procedural suggestion, which says basically throw out a suggestion. How about we do this? So you divert to get back on track.
Mm-hmm.
So I may say something like, okay, based on that, I think that's a really important topic, self-esteem. I think it's a really important topic, but how about if we do this? Can we just bench that for a while, put it on a parking lot? I'm going to write it down. I really want to make sure we cover this piece of the meeting, and that's an important one that you brought up. I'm not really prepared for that now. So if you don't mind, we can do one of a couple of things. Let's finish this conversation, and if we've got time, we can bring it up. You and I can definitely talk about it offline. But you see what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a procedural suggestion where it says, this is how we're going to handle it.
Yeah.
Not, hey, we don't have time for that now. I'm not shutting you down. I'm making a suggestion and a procedural suggestion, and a strong one. By the way, how about if we do this? And people are normal, they get the hint. They go, okay, well, that makes sense. As long as we're and I'm giving you self-esteem by letting you know I'm writing it down. I'm definitely bringing it up. And here's a tip: if you put it on the parking lot, please go back to your parking lot. You will build a reputation of going, oh crud, they're putting me on the parking lot.
Yep.
Don't you put me on the parking lot? You're never going back. Yeah.
How do one of the things that was kind of going through my mind as you were going through your 5 steps is I don't, forgive me, I don't remember the name of the step where you're kind of discussing the options of how to solve it. What do you call that? Or how much time would you dedicate to that? Or what if you feel like, okay, we have a lot of ideas on the table of how to solve it, and now we need to make a decision to move forward? What is that kind of transition from kind of open format discussion to now we've got to make decision to move forward?
Yeah. For our time together today, I will tell you this. I just want to set up next time we get together, because I want to have the model, and I want to show you, because in the model I've got not just the steps, which is just this is an exposure today.
Yeah,
it really is a skill set, and there are goals, and there are what I call Mike's tips in each of those steps. So, for instance, in a rough outline, when we start the conversation, I've got some tips for you, like start with purpose and importance. We're going to start the meeting off, and one of my tips is to use those words. It's an important meeting today, because what we want to accomplish is this. So purpose and importance. The purpose of our meeting is to do this, and it's really important because adults need to know why. So there's goals there. Then we get into the conversation. So picture the metaphor like the start of a presentation is the opening is like showing them the face of a puzzle box. This is the picture that I'd like to get to, the purpose and importance of our gathering. Then the next step is assessing the wants and needs. If there's goals to happen today, we're going to open up the box and get all the puzzle pieces on the table. And there's some tips like, what do you talk about? How do you get the issues and concerns on the table? Well, you use your people skills, but you talk about, and I give you 4 things. Talk about the facts of what's going on, the issues that everybody has, the concerns, facts, figures, issues, and concerns. And if you started there, you're going to have a great conversation. And I use the words. Okay, so what issues do we have around this? What facts are we dealing with? So here's the reality. Any concerns that you may have as we kind of move forward. So as we come together, as we start to say, how are we going to handle this? I make sure all the pieces of the puzzle are on the table. And then there's some tips, like make sure both sides have an opportunity to give the pieces. Because like you said, we do a lot of assuming.
Yeah.
if on purpose in my plan, I give myself a note, ask them what their issues and concerns are, you're actually putting into the meeting an opportunity for them to give you their issues and concerns and facts and figures. So there's no assuming.
Yeah.
Super important. But it's really not about time. It's about, do we have them? And that's how you use the involvement questions. When you say things like, is there anything else we need to have? Do we need to know before we get into this? Because I think it's important that we solve, how we're going to approach the setup for the next event.
Mm.
So I might even be taking notes. I'm going to review the notes before we get into the next step. So I've got this was important to me. You said this, and this. Anything else? Cool. Now let's what are we going to do about this? What can we do next time? And you develop a plan, and lots of involvement. There's some philosophies I want to talk to you about, because the more you can build buy-in with your team by doing certain things. If it comes from them, it's their ideas, they have more ownership. So there's some things you can do in the development phase. And it's really not about time. It's about, did we have a good plan? Are you guys happy with this? Are we doing this? What you'll find is, by having this little methodology, you'll get there faster.
Yeah.
If you do, I'll give you a tip of how it looks if you don't. Because you'll start to go into development phase, and you'll be throwing out ideas, and someone says, well, yeah, what about this? Or, well, that's not going to solve this. And we didn't, because you didn't do a good second phase.
Yeah.
Because you didn't get all the issues and concerns out. So what happens is you bounce back and forth, and you waste a lot of time developing a plan that's not hitting the targets because you never brought up the targets.
Yeah.
So the template helps you stay focused, and what you'll find is you're getting there faster and more on purpose. And I'll give you some tips on how to bring clarity, make sure we're on the same page, and how to end strong. So.
Oh, that's going to be great. So next time we're going to pick up right here, talk more about meetings, get some more skills, get some more.
I'll be ready for you.
What's that?
I'll be more ready for you.
This like technology, and we'll have a template for you to take away for you, and so that you can actually have it written down. We'll share that with you as well. So we meetings, I think that it's such a crucial element to be able to lead a meeting well, run a meeting well, no matter what the meeting is about, right? No matter who is sitting around the table with you, whether it's a board meeting, staff meeting, you're working with your peer ministers, whatever it is, your volunteers. This is a skill that will serve you well for your career.
It's one of the most important you can get. And by the way, the template and actually the coaching booklet, it's a workshop, is actually in the comments section. So you can download that and take a look at it, and then we'll get together and walk through it when we get together next.
Perfect. Next week, Michael Hoffman will be back. I know we'll still be in the Easter season. We'll still be eating black jelly beans and having just a good time learning some more skills to help us do ministry well, igniting our ministry so that we can bring Christ to those that we serve. So have a good day, everyone. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Michael. Bye.